Hello, sleepy thinkers, and welcome to Sleepy Science Teller, a soft place where science meets calmness and curiosity drifts gently into rest. Tonight, we will explore a quiet question, a question that has puzzled thinkers, scientists, and dreamers alike. What is consciousness? Consciousness is a gentle awareness that we exist. It is the soft light behind every thought, every memory, and every moment of noticing the world around us. We live inside it, yet we barely know what it truly is. And so, let us slowly drift through its mysteries together. Before we begin our gentle journey, I would love to know where you are listening from. Would you leave a comment telling me your location and the time on the clock where you are right now? It's always comforting to know how far these whispers travel. And if you find peace in these discoveries, please remember to softly press the like button and subscribe to this channel so that more gentle voices of science can accompany you into rest. Imagine, if you will, a world without eyes, without ears, a world where life existed, but there was no one to notice. Billions of years ago, the oceans teemed with simple forms, tiny cells, fragile bubbles of chemistry. They divided, they fed, they multiplied, but there was no sense of being. Life in those ancient waters responded only by reflex, to heat, to cold, to the presence of food. It was a mechanical dance, guided only by chemical reactions. There was no awareness of the sun's light, no noticing of the waves, no inner whisper saying, "I exist." And yet, slowly, very slowly, something began to change. Cells grouped together. They began to specialize. Some responded to light more than others. Some bent toward nutrients. Some pulled away from danger. It was the faintest hint of preference, a tiny glimmer of noticing. Scientists call this proto-awareness, a beginning so humble that it might be overlooked. But within this faint response was the seed of all consciousness to come. Consider the jellyfish. It has no brain as we know it, but it senses light, vibration, the movement of currents. It drifts, yet it chooses. It responds in ways that suggest a first, primitive kind of awareness. Not thoughts, not reflections, but the soft beginnings of perception. Awareness, at its simplest, is the ability to register the world, the warmth of the sun, the danger of heat, the closeness of food. And though these are simple responses, they form a foundation of what it means to be aware. Now pause with me. Notice your own awareness in this moment. The sound of these words, the rhythm of your breathing, the gentle hum of silence around you. This too is awareness, and though far more complex, it shares its roots with those first creatures in the sea. As life grew more complex, awareness deepened. Nervous systems began to form, tiny clusters of cells that carried signals, first in worms, then in fish, until creatures could not only respond, but anticipate. A worm feels vibration in the soil, and it turns away from danger before it touches. A fish glides toward the glitter of sunlight on the water's surface, seeking food even before it arrives. This is more than reflex. It is the shaping of experience. With awareness comes a gentle boundary between inside and outside. To be aware is to notice that there's a world beyond the self. The rustle of leaves, the sparkle of light, the taste of sweetness. Each sensation marks a moment of life, saying, "I am here and that is there." In humans, this became a flood of sensation. Our eyes gather light. Our ears collect sound. Our skin feels warmth, pressure, touch. All of these streams flow inward, forming the river of awareness that fills our waking lives. But remember, awareness is not thought. Awareness is more ancient, more quiet. It is the raw noticing before words are spoken, before meaning is attached. Think of standing in the rain. Before your mind names it, you simply feel the drops, the coolness, the rhythm on your skin. That first wordless moment is pure awareness. Our ancestors lived in this stream constantly. For them, awareness meant survival. To notice the sound of a predator, the scent of water in the distance, the glow of fire at night. Awareness was the gift that allowed life to endure. And still today, we live within the same gift. Each breath, each sound, each touch is a reminder that we awaken to awareness. Every single moment. Now, let's bring this idea close to home. Within you, awareness is a quiet stage on which life unfolds. Every sound you hear, every thought that passes, every dream that stirs, appears within awareness. Without awareness, the world vanishes. Close your eyes, the colors disappear. Cover your ears, the sounds are gone, yet awareness remains, waiting open, spacious. Some traditions say awareness is like the sky, vast, clear, unchanging. Thoughts, feelings, sensations are like clouds that drift across. They come, they go, but the sky of awareness remains. Science, too, seeks to understand the stage. Neuroscientists look into the brain, watching how neurons fire, how signals pass, how networks light up when we notice. And yet, even as they map the circuits, the mystery remains. How does matter become awareness? How does a brain produce the simple knowing of being alive? For now, the question is unanswered, but perhaps that is the beauty of it. For awareness is not just a subject to be solved, but an experience to be lived. Right now, you are living awareness. Notice the calm weight of your body. Notice the breath moving in and out. Notice the silence between words. All of this is awareness awakening in you. And so, when we speak of awakening to awareness, we are not only speaking of the ancient journey of life, from microbes to mammals, but of this present moment, in which you too awaken softly to the miracle of being here. Close your eyes for a moment and picture theater, a dark, quiet room, rows of empty seats stretching into silence. At the center, a stage lit softly by a single glow. This theater is your mind. Upon its stage, scenes are constantly playing. One moment, the actors are your thoughts, dancing across in quick bursts of memory and imagination. Another moment, the stage is filled with sensations. The sound of rain tapping against a window, the feeling of your breath, the warmth of your blanket. This theater never closes. From the moment you awaken to the moment you drift into sleep, scenes change endlessly. Some are quiet, fleeting. Others are bright and commanding. But always there is a stage. Always there is awareness. Scientists and philosophers have long used the metaphor of a theater to explain consciousness. They say what we experience is like a play projected into the light of awareness. Behind the curtain, unseen by us, the brain works tirelessly, sending signals, filtering sensations, deciding which actors may step onto the stage. And just like in a real theater, the audience cannot see the entire backstage crew. We only witness the performance. The rest remains hidden, quietly shaping the show. Imagine for a moment a sudden sound in the night, a creak upon the floor. At once, Your attention snaps to it. The spotlight on your mental stage shifts, illuminating this new actor. A sound, a question, perhaps a flicker of fear. This is the mind's theater in action. It selects what matters and places it center stage. But notice, too, how many other sensations remain in the shadows. The hum of the air, the faint scent in the room, the pressure of your feet against the floor. They are there, but they do not step into the light. Your theater shows only one scene at a time. This is the gift and the limitation of awareness. It allows clarity, focus, experience. But it also means that most of what the brain does remains backstage. In this theater, there are countless players, thoughts of the past, dreams of the future, worries, hopes, images, sensations. Each one waits in the wings, ready for its turn to appear. But the mind is not a chaotic show. There is order, there is direction. The spotlight of attention moves deliberately, shining on one thought, then another. This spotlight is the secret of consciousness. It allows us to experience not everything at once, but one scene at a time. Think of reading a book. On the page, hundreds of words rest together, but the spotlight of your awareness illuminates just a few at once. You glide across the page, absorbing sentence by sentence. Without this spotlight, the book would blur into noise, but with it, the story unfolds clearly. This spotlight is what lets you listen now, though countless other thoughts hover at the edges. Your awareness has chosen to rest here, on these words, in this moment. Behind the scenes, your brain is busy. Billions of neurons are firing. Signals rush along pathways, filtering what deserves attention and what can be set aside. It is like a stage manager, choosing which actor will step into the light next. Some neuroscientists describe consciousness as global workspace theory. In this view, the brain is like a theater. Many unconscious processes compete for the spotlight. When one wins, its message is projected onto the stage of awareness, and suddenly you experience it. Imagine tasting something sweet. Before you notice it, your tongue, nerves, and brain are already working. Chemicals are detected, signals sent, decisions made, but only when the spotlight turns to it. Do you say, "Ah, sweet"? The backstage has worked, but the stage receives the applause. And so, our theater of the mind is always alive, always choosing, always presenting the next scene. But remember, most of the play remains hidden. For every thought that appears, countless others remain in shadow. Now, pause and imagine again the silent theater. The stage is lit, the actors move, the spotlight shifts, but ask yourself gently, who is watching? Who sits in the audience? This is the great mystery of the theater of the mind. There is a stage, there are actors, but who observes the play? Is it you? Is it awareness itself? Is it something deeper, something beyond what science can yet measure? Philosophers have wrestled with this question for centuries. Some say the audience is a self, a kind of central witness that experiences a show. Others suggest there is no true audience, only the performance itself, appearing moment by moment. Science, too, is humble here, though it maps the brain, traces the circuits, describes the spotlight. It cannot yet say why the show is experienced at all. Why is there not only processing, but a felt presence? Why is there theater, and not only machinery? Perhaps this question will remain. Or perhaps the mystery is itself the beauty. For as you listen now, you are the audience and the stage together. You are both the actor and the watcher. Your thoughts appear, your sensations arrive, and yet something within you observes them, quietly, gently. Tonight, as you drift toward sleep, notice how the theater shifts. Thoughts become dreamlike, scenes blur, logic softens. The spotlight wanders freely, until at last the stage falls into darkness, and deep sleep carries you away. But even then, the theater waits. It rests quietly, ready to rise again with the dawn, ready to project once more the endless play of life, awareness and experience. And so, the theater of the mind is not only a metaphor, it is the very stage upon which your life unfolds. It is the gentle miracle that allows you to say, I am here, I am aware. Picture, if you will, the surface of a quiet lake at dawn. Mist rises, water ripples softly, light plays across the waves. Sometimes the lake is perfectly still, sometimes it shimmers with movement. Sometimes storms sweep across and stir it into motion. Consciousness is very much like that lake. It is not a single, fixed thing. It has layers, depths, changing states. From the sparkling surface of wakefulness to the drifting tides of dreams, to the still silence of deep, dreamless sleep. Each layer feels different. Each carries its own rhythm, but all belong to the same vastness of mind. During wakefulness, our consciousness is sharp and bright. We notice details. We follow thoughts. We act with purpose. This is the surface of the lake, where sunlight glitters and everything is visible. But as night falls, as the body grows tired, the lake changes. The ripples of thought soften, images blur, and we drift into dreams. Here, consciousness is altered. It is less logical, less tied to reality. Yet it is vivid, alive, colorful. It is the shimmering middle layer of the lake, halfway between light and darkness. And deeper still lies a layer of dreamless sleep. Here, awareness folds inward. The stage of the mind grows dark. The lake is still, silent, unbroken. Science shows that in this state, the brain is still active, restoring, repairing, yet our sense of self disappears. It is consciousness folded back into quiet rest. These three layers, waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, are the rhythms we experience every single day. They remind us that consciousness is not fixed, but flows like waves upon a great, timeless sea. Now let us look more closely at how we move between these layers. When you awaken in the morning, consciousness rises like the sun. At first, you may still be half dreaming, memories of night lingering in fragments. But slowly, the light strengthens, thoughts sharpen, awareness of the body returns. The world grows real again. This is the ascent into waking consciousness. Throughout the day, we live mostly upon this bright surface. But even here, there are layers. Sometimes our attention is sharp, focused on a task. Other times, we drift into daydreams, half here, half elsewhere. The lake of awareness is never still. It ripples constantly, shifting between clarity and wandering. Then comes evening. The body grows heavy. The eyes begin to close. The spotlight of attention dims. We sink into the layer of dreams. Dreams are fascinating. They are woven from memory, imagination, emotion. The brain, freed from the rules of waking life, creates entire worlds. You may fly, or speak to loved ones long gone, or walk through impossible landscapes. And yet, in the dream, it feels real. This is the wonder of the dreaming layer. It shows us how fluid consciousness truly is, how easily it shifts its form. And then deeper still, we descend into dreamless sleep. Here, consciousness as we know it seems to vanish. There is no story, no image, no self. Yet science tells us the brain is far from silent. It restores memories, repairs cells, balances chemicals, and when we awaken, we often feel refreshed, as though consciousness itself has been washed clean. These daily transitions remind us of the layers within. We are not just one self, but many selves, flowing across different states of awareness. Beyond these familiar states, there are other, more subtle layers. Meditation, for example, can carry the mind into unusual states of stillness. Some describe it as awareness without thought, pure presence, like the silent lake reflecting the sky. Altered states can also arise from music, from moments of awe, from rituals or substances. In such times, consciousness shifts again, expanding, softening, showing us new dimensions of experience. Animals, too, seem to move through layers. A cat stretched in the sun may drift from alertness to dreaming. Birds close their eyes mid-flight, resting one half of their brain at a time. Consciousness wears many forms across the tree of life, and so we begin to see that consciousness is not a flat surface. It is layered, textured, alive with change. At times it is focused and bright. At times it is loose and wandering. At times it is silent and absent. And perhaps, at times, it touches mysteries we cannot yet explain. Philosophers speak of higher states of consciousness, moments when awareness becomes expansive, connected, luminous. Scientists study brain waves, beta for wakefulness, theta for dreams, delta for deep sleep. Each rhythm marks a different layer of the lake. But no matter how we name them, all these layers belong to the same whole. Consciousness is like a great ocean, and we swim upon its waves every day, often without realizing the depths beneath. So as you rest a night, perhaps you will feel yourself sinking gently through these layers, from wakefulness to the drifting world of dreams, to the still quiet of deep sleep, each layer a gift, each layer a reminder of the mystery within. And when morning comes, you will rise again through the layers of awareness, emerging once more into the bright surface of the day. Imagine the brain, a soft, folded organ cradle within the skull, 3 pounds of living tissue, yet the source of all thought, memory, sensation, and awareness. When you place your hand upon your chest, you feel the beating of your heart. When you take a breath, you feel the rise and fall of your lungs. But when you try to notice the brain, there is silence. It has no voice of its own, and yet it is the conductor of everything you experience. Some call the brain the most complex object in the known universe. It holds nearly 100 billion neurons, tiny nerve cells, each one connected to thousands of others. The result is a vast network, a living web of signals, firing every second of your life. And within this web arises consciousness. Think of the brain as an orchestra. Each neuron is like an instrument. Some play quickly, others more slowly. Some send deep, resonant notes. Others send soft, fleeting tones. Alone, a single instrument makes only a sound, but together they create music. In the same way, a single neuron carries only a small impulse, but billions together form patterns that become thoughts, Memories, sensations, awareness. You are not aware of the activity itself, the sparks, the signals, the currents. You're only aware of the music that arises, the sight of a sunset, the sound of laughter, the feeling of being alive. And so, the brain is not merely a machine. It is an orchestra of life, playing the endless symphony of consciousness. Now, let us look more closely at how the brain carries the role of awareness. When light touches your eyes, tiny receptors transform it into signals. Those signals travel into the brain through pathways into the visual cortex at the back of your head. Their patterns of activity create the image you see. But notice, the image is not outside anymore. It is inside, constructed by the brain. The same is true of sound. Vibrations enter the ear, move tiny hairs within, create signals that travel to the auditory cortex. There, the brain creates sound. And suddenly you hear, touch, taste, smell, all follow similar journeys. Signals arrive, pathways light up, and the brain weaves them together into the tapestry of experience. But the brain does more than simply receive. It filters. It decides what matters. Right now, countless signals flow into your brain. The pressure of your body against the chair, the faint hum in the air, the beating of your heart. Yet your awareness rests only on these words. Why? Because the brain selects, chooses, guides the spotlight of attention. In this sense, the brain is both stage and stage manager. It builds the scenery, invites the actors, and directs the play. And yet, the brain also holds memory. It stores moments from the past, woven into patterns across many regions. When you recall a childhood memory, the brain is not playing back a film. It is reconstructing, pulling together fragments of sight, sound, feeling, to recreate the experience. And for a moment, the past lives again on the stage of the present. The brain also imagines the future. It runs simulations, explores possibilities, lets you rehearse before you act. This gift of projecting ahead is one of the brain's most powerful roles. And so, the brain is not simply reacting to the world. It is constantly shaping, predicting, imagining. It is the weaver of both present and possible realities. Even with all our knowledge, the role of the brain in consciousness remains mysterious. Scientists can trace signals, record brain waves, map which regions light up when you see, when you feel, when you dream. But they cannot yet explain the deepest question. How does activity in the brain become the experience of awareness? This is called the hard problem of consciousness. We can describe the processes, but not the why. Why should the firing of neurons feel like the color blue? Why should chemical signals feel like joy, sorrow, wonder? Some believe consciousness emerges naturally from complexity, that when enough neurons connect, awareness simply arises, like heat arising from fire or wetness from water. Others believe the brain is a receiver, that consciousness exists beyond, and the brain is the instrument through which it plays. In this view, the brain is less like a creator and more like a radio tuning into a signal. For now, science does not know, but perhaps mystery is part of the gift. For when you touch the role of the brain, you are touching a living miracle, a network so complex it can think about itself, a system so mysterious it can wonder about its own origin. And tonight, as you rest, your brain will continue its quiet role. It will guide you into dreams, carry you through deep sleep, restore your memories, balance your body, and prepare you for another day of awareness. And when you awaken, the orchestra will rise again, the stage will brighten, the play of consciousness will begin anew. The brain's role is not only to keep you alive, it is to let you be aware of being alive. It is the bridge between matter and mind, the gentle doorway through which life becomes experience. Close your eyes for a moment and notice the flow of your thoughts. They drift like clouds, shapes appearing, dissolving, moving on. Some carry images of the past, some whisper the future, and some linger with the present. Yet within this endless stream, there is something special, a spotlight. It does not shine on everything at once, but moves gently, illuminating only what it chooses. This spotlight is your attention, and focus is when the light steadies, holding a single place, a single thought, a single sound. The brain, as we saw earlier, receives countless signals. Every second, millions of bits of information flow from your senses. The rustle of clothing, the faint hum of electricity, the rhythm of your breathing, the play of light on your eyelids. Yet you are not overwhelmed. Why? Because attention selects. It chooses what to highlight, what to let fade into the background. Think of a theater with many actors on stage. The stage is your mind, filled with sensations, memories, and thoughts. But when the spotlight shines on one actor, the audience follows. That is attention. The rest of the stage is still there, but in shadow. This is why, when you read these words, you may not notice the chair beneath you until I mention it. The spotlight shifts, and suddenly the chair reappears in awareness. Attention, then, is the gentle guide of consciousness. It moves from scene to scene, moment to moment, shaping what you experience as now. Attention alone is a shifting light. Focus is when the light steadies, growing bright, holding firmly to one subject. Have you ever lost yourself in a book, so deeply absorbed that the world seemed to disappear? That is focus. Or perhaps you were watching the ocean, the waves rising and falling, time slipping away unnoticed. That, too, is focus. The brain has networks that control this dance. One network scans widely, searching the horizon, ready for anything new. Another narrows, locking on to what matters most. Together, they balance, openness and steadiness. This balance is ancient. Our ancestors needed it to survive. Imagine someone gathering berries. They must focus on the bush before them, yet remain alert for the rustle of danger. Attention shifts like the breeze. Focus steadies like a tree trunk. Both are needed. In modern life, the same patterns remain. You may focus on a task, writing, listening, learning, yet your attention flickers at a sound, a message, a thought. The spotlight wavers. Sometimes too often, science shows that attention is limited. We cannot truly hold many things at once. Multitasking is an illusion, a rapid shifting of the light, and each shift carries a cost. A moment lost, a fragment of focus broken. Yet attention can be trained. Meditation, for example, teaches the spotlight to rest more gently. You sit quietly, returning again and again to the breath, to stillness. The light flickers, but you guide it back. Over time, the beam grows steady, the mind more calm. In this way, attention and focus are not fixed. They are skills shaped by practice, like a musician refining a note. And just as music feels alive when played slowly, focus feels deeper when held softly, without strain. A gentle gaze, not a clenched fist. Attention is more than a spotlight. It is also a compass. Where you place it, life follows. Notice how a day feels. When attention dwells on worry, the world seems narrow, colors dim, moments heavy. Now notice how it feels. When attention rests on gratitude, on a smile, on the softness of the breeze, on the warmth of connection, the same day, the same world, but a different experience, because attention shapes reality. This is the gift and the challenge of the brain's role in awareness. It can wander, drifting into distraction, pulling you away from presence, or it can steady, illuminating what matters most. Even now, as you listen to these words, you may feel attention drifting, perhaps to a thought of tomorrow, or to the comfort of the bed beneath you. And that is natural. The mind wanders, the spotlight moves, but each time it returns, you rediscover presence. Dreams, too, are shaped by attention. When you fall asleep, the spotlight does not vanish. It dims, it loosens, it follows strange and shifting actors. And in that twilight theater, stories unfold, some bright, some confusing, some filled with wonder. Science still asks, what controls the drift of attention in dreams? What makes one image stand forward and another fade? Perhaps the same networks, resting, dancing more freely. And so, attention and focus are not only tools, they are experiences themselves. The gentle spotlight, the steady flame, the inner compass. Tonight, as you let yourself rest, let attention soften. There is nothing to fix upon, nothing to hold tightly. The light may drift, and that is all right. Let it move with ease and slowly fade until sleep gathers you and the mind rests in its own quiet focus. When you stand before a mirror and see your own reflection staring back, you feel a quiet certainty. That is me, you say. The face, the body, the familiar presence, all seem to point towards something solid, something enduring, the self. But what if the self is not as solid as it seems? What if it is more like a story, woven by the brain, retold again and again, so smoothly that we forget it is only a story? Neuroscience and philosophy both whisper that the self may be an illusion, not an illusion in the sense of being unreal. For clearly, you live, you breathe, you feel, but illusion in the sense that what you think of as you may be a construction, a narrative, a pattern assembled moment by moment. Consider memory. The brain stitches together pieces, a flash of sight, a taste, a sound, a feeling. From these fragments, it creates the sense of a continuous past. But memories are not recordings. They change, shift, fade, grow brighter or dimmer with time. Yet still the story of me feels whole. Even in the present, the self is a weaving. Signals flow in from the senses. The brain arranges them, labels them, and says, this is happening to me. But where in all that flow is I? When we look closely, we see only thoughts, feelings, sensations. The self is the name we give to the bundle. In this way, the self is like the character of a play. On stage, the actor moves, speaks, lives a story. But when the play ends, the actor removes a mask. the role dissolves. The character never truly existed. It was a performance, made real only in the telling. So, two, perhaps, the self is the character your brain performs, moment by moment, with astonishing skill. Evidence for the illusion of self comes not only from philosophy, but from science. There are patients, for example, with split brain conditions. When the connection between the two hemispheres is cut, each side of the brain can act with its own awareness. One hand may reach for an object, while the other pushes it away. And when asked why, the speaking half of the brain invents a story, a reason that feels true, even though it is only a guess. The self, in such cases, is shown to be a narrator, not always in control, but always ready to explain. There are also illusions of the body. In the famous rubber hand experiment, a fake hand is placed before someone while their real hand is hidden. Both the rubber hand and the real hand are stroked at the same time, and soon the person feels that the rubber hand is their own. The sense of me has shifted, attached itself to plastic and paint. Dreams give another clue. In dreams, you often have a self, a body, a story. You run, you speak, you see the world, but upon waking, you realize none of it was real. The dream self was as convincing as daylight, and yet it dissolved like mist. Even in waking life, the self can fracture. Under hypnosis, suggestions can create new identities. Under trauma, the mind can split into parts, each carrying its own story. The self, then, is not a fixed pearl, but a shifting pattern. And yet, the illusion is not a failure. It is a feature, for by believing in the story of me, you are able to move through the world, to plan, to protect, to grow. The self may be a mask, but it is a useful one. If the self is an illusion, what does that mean for us? Should we feel diminished, like shadows pretending to be real? Or should we feel liberated, like waves remembering they belong to the ocean? Many spiritual traditions have spoken of this discovery. Meditators often describe moments when the sense of I dissolves and only awareness remains. No boundary, no center, just experience unfolding. In such moments, there is a strange peace, for when the self loosens, so too does fear, worry, and clinging. Science, too, hints at this. Brain scans show that when the default mode network, the system linked to self-reflection, quiets, people report feelings of unity, of being part of something larger. It seems that when the storyteller rests, the play changes. But even in daily life, you can taste the soft edges of self. When you are lost in music, you do not say, I am listening. The music simply flows. When you watch a sunset, you do not separate yourself. There is only the glow, the warmth, the hush of evening. Perhaps the self is both real and not real. Real as a story, as a mask, as a tool. Not real as a solid, unchanging entity. A wave upon the ocean, a flame upon the fire, a moment upon the stream. And maybe that is a gentle wonder, that you are both the character and the stage, both the mask and the light behind it. The self-illusion is not a trick to escape. It is a dance to behold. So tonight, as you rest, let the sense of me grow soft. Let thoughts drift. Let boundaries blur. Let the story quiet. And as sleep gathers you, know that the self, too, can rest for a while. For when morning comes, the mask will return, the story will begin again, and the self will step once more onto the stage of consciousness. Every night, as you close your eyes and drift into sleep, you step into another world, a world not built of stone or air, but of images, emotions, and shifting stories. This world is a dream, a theater of the mind, where the actors are memories, the scenery is imagination, and the plot is written moment by moment, without rehearsal, without control. Dreams remind us that consciousness is not one fixed state. It can shift, soften, change shape like water poured into new vessels. When awake, you feel the steady rhythm of daylight thought, focused, logical, grounded, but in dreams, logic bends, time slips, and the boundaries of the self grow fluid. Consider how real a dream feels while unfolds. You run, you speak, you see faces of people you know, sometimes alive, sometimes gone, sometimes imagined. The colors glow, the sounds echo, and your dream self believes completely. Only when you awaken do you realize it was only a dream. But is it only a dream? For in those moments, the brain is alive with activity. Neurons fire, the visual cortex glows, the emotional centers spark. In many ways, the brain in dreaming sleep is as active as when awake. It is a different kind of consciousness, not less real, but differently real. Scientists call the stage REM sleep, rapid eye movement. It is here that the richest dreams arise. Your eyes flicker beneath closed lids. Your heart quickens. Your mind enters the night's secret theater. And why do we dream? No answer is certain. Some believe dreams help us process memory, filing, organizing, weaving fragments into the story of the self. Others believe dreams prepare us for danger, letting us rehearse responses in the safe stage of sleep. Still others believe dreams are the brain's way of exploring creativity, breaking rules, building new connections. Whatever the reason, dreams reveal this. Consciousness is not bound to one form. It is fluid, shifting with the rhythms of the brain, capable of painting whole worlds in the quiet of night. Dreams are only one doorway. There are many altered states of consciousness, moments when awareness steps outside the usual rhythm. Meditation is one. When the mind grows still, the chatter quiets, the sense of self softens. Time feels slower, breath feels deeper, awareness feels wide. People who practice describe it as sinking into calm waters, as if the self is floating gently in a boundless sea. Hypnosis is another. In this state, the mind becomes focused, highly receptive. Suggestions shape experience. A hand can feel heavy. A sound can vanish. A memory can become vivid. Here, too, we see that consciousness is flexible. It can be guided, shifted, reshaped. There are also altered states born of rhythm. The steady beat of drums, the sway of dance, the repetition of chant. Across cultures, humans have used rhythm to move the mind into new states. Awareness expands. The sense of body changes. The self dissolves into movement and sound. And then there are the states brought by substances, plants, chemicals, medicines. For thousands of years, people have sought visions through herbs, roots, and brews. These experiences, too, show the brain's power to reshape reality. Colors glow brighter, sounds twist, time stretches, the self unravels. Science now studies these states carefully wondering how they might help heal trauma, ease suffering, open creativity. Even the simple act of daydreaming is an altered state. You stare at the sky, thoughts drift, images rise unbidden. In those moments, you are neither fully awake nor asleep. You are walking the borderlands of mind. What unites all these states, dreams, meditation, trance, visions, drifting thought, is a reminder that consciousness is not fixed. It is like a river, flowing in many currents, sometimes clear and sharp, sometimes misty and strange, sometimes wide and peaceful. Why does consciousness shift at all? Why do we dream, wander, expand into altered states? Perhaps because the brain is not a static machine. It is a dynamic system, constantly changing its rhythms. At times, fast and focused. At times, slow and drifting. Different brain waves. Alpha, beta, theta, delta, each mark a different flavor of awareness. Like music changing tempo, the brain plays in many keys. Some scientists believe these altered states serve survival. Dreams may help prepare us. Meditation may calm stress. Visionary states may inspire creativity. Others believe they are side effects, strange sparks of a complex organ. But perhaps, on a gentler level, they are gifts. They remind us that reality is not one straight line. It is many layers, many windows, many worlds. Think of a snow globe. When shaken, the world inside shifts, sparkles, reveals hidden scenes. Altered states are like this, a shaking of the globe of mind, showing new perspectives. And yet, whether awake or dreaming, focused or drifting, you are still you. Awareness wears many costumes, but the play continues. Tonight, as you lie down, you will step again into one of these states. The border between waking and dreaming will soften. Your body will grow heavy. Your thoughts will scatter. And slowly, the night's theater will rise. Perhaps you will dream of places you know. Perhaps of places that never existed. Perhaps of voices long silent. Whatever comes, know this. Dreams and altered states are not accidents. They are part of the great dance of consciousness, showing us its endless flexibility, its endless wonder. And when you awaken, the curtain will lift, the daylight stage will return, and you will carry with you a trace of the night's hidden journey. For the mind is not one world, but many. And in dreams and altered states, you glimpse the vast, shifting mystery of being aware. When you look into the eyes of another person, a friend, a loved one, even a stranger, something stirs. You sense there is a presence there, an inner life as rich as your own. You do not see their thoughts directly. You do not feel their feelings. And yet, you know somehow that behind those eyes, there is awareness. This quiet knowing is one of the deepest mysteries of consciousness. For while you experience your own mind with vivid intimacy, the minds of others remain forever hidden. You cannot step inside. You cannot read their awareness. You can only guess, interpret, imagine. This is called the problem of other minds. How do we know that anyone else is truly conscious? How do we know that the world around us is filled with minds and not only silent bodies? The answer, of course, is not logic alone, but empathy. We see others smile, cry, speak, act with intention. We see their gestures echo our own. And so we assume as kindly as we can, that their inner life is as alive as ours. But the mystery deepens when we look beyond humans. The dog wagging its tail, the cat curled upon your lap, the birds singing at dawn. Do they have minds? Do they dream, wonder, feel? Science suggests yes. Animals show signs of memory, emotion, choice. Elephants mourn their dead. Dolphins call each other by name. Crows solve puzzles, save tools, even teach. Here, too, we sense awareness shining. And yet, we can never know for certain. Each mind is a lantern, lighting its own space. And we, standing outside, see only the glow through the glass. The question of other minds has shaped our history, our ethics, our understanding of life itself. In ancient times, some believed only humans had true souls. Animals were thought to be clever machines, moving without awareness. But slowly, through observation, through empathy, this circle widened. Philosophers wondered, if I feel pain, and if an animal cries when hurt, is it not the same kind of pain? If I rejoice, and an animal leaps with joy, is it not the same kind of joy? Today, many scientists agree that consciousness is not limited to humans. It may exist on a spectrum, different forms, different depths, but present in many beings. Consider octopuses, creatures of the sea, with no bones, with bodies unlike ours. They still show remarkable intelligence. They play, they escape, they solve. Each of their arms holds its own nervous system, yet somehow the octopus moves as one. A different kind of mind, a different kind of awareness. Or think of bees. A single bee may be simple, but a hive behaves like a superorganism, communicating, deciding, acting as if it were one great mind. Does consciousness stretch across the colony? Perhaps awareness is not always confined to one body, but may flow through many. Even plants give us pause. They sense light, gravity, touch. They send signals through chemical messages, warn each other of danger, adapt to changing worlds. Is this a kind of awareness? Not like ours, not with thoughts and words, but something more subtle, a green whisper of life, feeling its way forward. And then there are machines. Today we build systems that can learn, speak, respond. They have no biology, no beating heart. Yet we ask, could a machine ever hold a mind? Could silicon and code give rise to awareness? The circle of possible minds widens still further, inviting us to wonder where consciousness may dwell. Why does the mystery of other minds matter? Because it touches the heart of compassion. If we believe only our own mind exists, the world grows narrow. We become islands, alone in thought. But when we sense other minds, the world fills with companionship. Every gaze, every voice, every living being becomes part of a vast community of awareness. This recognition changes how we live. It asks us to treat others gently, for they, too, feel joy and sorrow. It asks us to respect animals, for they, too, may hold dreams and fears. It even asks us to wonder at the simplest forms of life, for perhaps, in ways beyond our knowing, they, too, are touched by awareness. And perhaps the greatest wonder of all is that our own mind can imagine the minds of others. This gift, called empathy, lets us step not truly inside, but close enough to feel alongside. It is through empathy that we bridge the silence between lanterns, that we connect the glow of awareness from one being to another. Some thinkers even suggest that consciousness itself is not isolated, but shared, a great field in which each mind is a ripple, a wave, a spark. If this is so, then the mystery of other minds is also the mystery of one great mind, wearing many faces. But whether separate or shared, the truth remains gentle and profound. We are not alone in awareness. Other beings, other minds, move beside us, each one a lantern, each one a world, each one a mystery, as deep as our own. And tonight, as you drift towards sleep, remember that you are part of this vast constellation. Your mind, like a star, shines softly in the night and across the darkness. Other minds shine too, some near, some far, all sharing the endless sky of awareness. Consciousness, the feeling of being aware, of being alive, of knowing that you know, is one of the most profound mysteries in all of science. We can study the stars. We can measure the age of galaxies. We can trace the birth of atoms. But when it comes to understanding the glow of awareness within, the question still remains, gently unsolved. Philosophers have asked for centuries, what is consciousness? Is it the mind? Is it the soul? Is it simply the brain's activity? Or is it something deeper, something woven into the fabric of reality itself? One of the central puzzles is what scientists call the hard problem of consciousness. It was phrased by philosopher David Chalmers in the 1990s. The hard problem asks, why does brain activity feel like anything at all? Why does electrical firing in gray matter give rise to the experience of color, the sweetness of taste, the warmth of love? We can explain how nerves carry signals. We can describe how chemicals flow, but describing why it feels like something, to be alive, remains elusive. For example, you can imagine a robot that processes information, even makes decisions. But does it feel? Does it taste sweetness? Or only measure sugar molecules? Does it know joy? Or only calculate reward? The difference between information processing and inner experience is the deep riddle of consciousness. This is why, even today, the mystery remains open. Consciousness is the stage upon which life is lived, yet the origin of the stage itself remains hidden behind the curtain. Over the years, many theories have tried to explain this mystery. Some are rooted in biology, others in philosophy, and some even in physics. One influential idea is called integrated information theory, or IIT. It suggests that consciousness arises whenever information is both highly connected and highly integrated. In this view, a simple device like a light switch is not conscious because it processes almost no information. But a human brain, with billions of neurons interwoven, creates a vast web of integration. And this web, this network of connections, might be what gives rise to awareness. Another idea is called global workspace theory. Imagine your mind as a theater. Many unconscious processes work backstage. Senses collecting data, memories storing details, emotions preparing reactions. But when something reaches your conscious awareness, it steps into the spotlight, onto the stage. Once there, all parts of the mind can see it. This global workspace is what we call consciousness, a stage where information becomes available to the whole system. Some thinkers go further still. They suggest that consciousness might not be produced by the brain alone. Instead, it might be a fundamental property of the universe, like space, time, or gravity. This idea is known as panpsychism. It proposes that even the tiniest particles carry a spark of awareness, not like human consciousness, but some primitive sense of being. And as matter combines in complex ways, this awareness grows richer, deeper, until in the human brain, it blossoms into the vivid tapestry we call mind. There are also quantum theories, which suggest that consciousness may arise from strange behaviors in the quantum realm. Some scientists, like Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, propose that tiny structures inside brain cells, called microtubules, might use quantum effects to generate awareness. It is controversial, still debated, but it reflects our longing to connect consciousness to the deepest mysteries of reality. And still, others believe consciousness is best understood, not by finding one single explanation, but by weaving many perspectives together. Neuroscience, psychology, physics, philosophy. Perhaps like a diamond, consciousness has many facets, and no single theory shows it all. Yet, beyond the science, beyond the theories, there remains a gentle wonder of experience itself. Every morning when you wake, consciousness returns, the world appears, the self reappears, and the quiet miracle of awareness begins again. You do not need a theory to know it is real. You feel it. You live it. This mystery has inspired poets, mystics, and seekers across cultures. Some traditions see consciousness as the light of the soul. Others view it as the universe, becoming aware of itself. Still others treat it as an illusion, a clever trick of the brain. But whether sacred, scientific, or skeptical, all agree consciousness is central to existence. And perhaps the mystery itself is the gift. For if everything were solved, if consciousness were explained completely, it might lose some of its wonder. The unknown, the unanswered, keeps the mind open, curious, and humble. Tonight, as you rest, you may feel this mystery gently within you, the steady rhythm of thought, the soft drift of imagination, the awareness that you are here, listening, feeling, being. Science continues its search. Philosophy continues its questioning, and still, consciousness glows quietly, like a candle in the dark. It is both the simplest thing, always with you, and the greatest mystery, beyond complete grasp. And maybe, as you drift toward sleep, that is enough, to rest not in certainty, but in wonder, to let go of answers, and simply feel the presence of awareness, soft and profound, like the night sky spread wide above. Consciousness, the quiet presence that allows you to see, to feel, to dream, to know, after exploring its layers, its mysteries, its theories. We arrive now at a softer place, a place not of answers, but of wonder. For perhaps the greatest truth about consciousness is not hidden in complex equations or deep in scientific debates, but right here in your simplest experiences. The gentle wonder of consciousness is that it is always with you. Every time you open your eyes, the world appears. Every time you close them, a new world of imagination begins. The glow of awareness is the most constant companion you will ever have. Think of a moment from your day, the way sunlight touched your face, the taste of a warm drink, the sound of a familiar voice. Each moment was carried by awareness, made alive by consciousness. Without it, the world would be silent and dark. With it, life becomes a symphony. And the most astonishing part is, you rarely need to try. Awareness flows naturally, like breath. You simply exist, and in existing, you experience. This is the everyday miracle, so close, so ordinary, that we often forget how extraordinary it truly is. The gentle wonder of consciousness is not only personal, it is also shared. When you look at another person and see their eyes soften, when you hear laughter or sense a quiet sadness, you are reminded that consciousness is not yours alone. It moves across countless lives, like lanterns glowing in the night. Every mind, every awareness is a spark of this great mystery. Some sparks burn bright, some glow softly, but all belong to the same vast sky of awareness. Think of the many forms this wonder takes. The dream of a child, the song of a bird, the playfulness of a dolphin, the calm gaze of an elephant. Each is a window, a different way the universe has chosen to look back at itself. Perhaps consciousness is the universe's mirror, a way for existence to witness its own beauty. The stars shine, the oceans move, the forests breathe, but through consciousness, they are also seen, felt, loved. And so, as you drift tonight, you might imagine yourself as one small flame in a vast constellation of awareness. Together, all these lights form a gentle network, an unseen connection, stretching across the living world. To know this, to feel part of this shared light, is itself a wonder. At last, we arrive here, to the quietest truth of all. Consciousness remains a mystery. No theory fully explains it. No philosophy captures it completely. And perhaps that is exactly as it should be. For mystery gives life its depth. Mystery gives the night sky its awe, the ocean its pull, the heart its longing, and consciousness, this shimmering awareness that holds your world, is perhaps the greatest mystery of them all. The gentle wonder is not in solving it, but in living it, in resting, in dreaming, in noticing the simple grace of being alive. So as you prepare to sleep, you can let go of questions. You can release the need for answers. You can simply feel the presence of awareness, like a soft light within, steady and calm. Tomorrow, when you wake, it will greet you again. The world will appear once more. Colors, sounds, feelings, all carried by the gentle gift of consciousness. And you will continue your journey with the quiet wonder of knowing and being and feeling. But for now, allow the mystery to cradle you. Let your thoughts slow. Let your breathing soften. Let the gentle wonder of consciousness become a lullaby. Good night, dear listener. May your rest be deep, your dreams be kind, and your awareness awaken tomorrow with gentle joy. Until then, sleep well, rest easy, and goodbye.